What's good? What's good? What's good? NBA YouTube, it's your boy Ross, coming to you with another episode of The Rock Never Stops, where we talk NBA basketball, how your team is doing, how your favorite athletes are doing, even talk a little bit about the stuff that happens off the court when it comes to basketball and the NBA, professional sports. Um, I'm excited about this episode. I'm excited. Kind of juice for it, to be honest. Kind of juice for it. I was watching some Cam Reddish highlights. He was looking kind of all right in some in not summer league preseason. And I started looking at him play, and I was like, he reminds me of somebody because before when I saw him, the first thing that came to mind was Paul George. I was like, he's got a Paul George body and athleticism where it's smooth, it's springy, he's long, he's tall for a guard. He's got great guard skill set and quickness about him and a level of versatility on both ends that very few players have. So the first thought was Paul George. But then I realized when I started looking into his games, like most of his games, they're all they're all big games where he's shooting a lot of threes. When you watched Paul George's development in Indiana, a lot of his early development, it was going to the rack. It was shooting some threes too, but he was constantly getting to the rack. Quick first step. That was when they had David West with the Indiana Pacers, um, Roy Hibbert, Danny Granger. I don't think they had Jamal Tinsley back then. Um, that was with the other squad, but they had a nice team. What was it, Jeff Teague? Nah, I can't remember. Y'all let me know. But Paul George was getting to the rack a lot, but still a versatile defender. He was really promising. And eventually, we all know, against the Miami Heat, they take him to what, 7 games. Paul George has a great series, even has that monster dunk on LeBron, and then everybody's like, "Yo, he's coming." LeBron even tells him, "Yo, you're going to be big time in this league." Great boost of confidence. We all know how the rest of the story goes. Does the Olympics, breaks his, leg, and then he's, makes his comeback, ends up Oklahoma City, then the Clippers, right? But there was another player that I was kind of seeing, and it made me real curious. Gerald Green. Y'all may not remember Gerald Green. Gerald Green was a top high school recruit, came into the NBA right out of high school. Then he was with the Boston Celtics, and he actually flamed out really fast. One of the major critiques was he didn't have a high basketball IQ. He didn't know where to be, how to rotate. He wasn't picking things up quickly. He was really struggling. And Boston didn't have the team to really let him develop like that. And so he ended up going overseas, but he makes a comeback, a big time comeback. First with the Phoenix Suns, he has some amazing dunks. Uh, then with the Brooklyn Nets, I think the Brooklyn Nets, then the Phoenix Suns. Um, that's where he has some of his most awesome dunk highlights. If you ever go back and look at Gerald Green dunk highlights, probably has to be one of the most amazing dunkers you will ever see in the NBA. I'm talking about some of the things he did in that slam dunk contest, blowing a candle out on the cupcake on the rim, um, dunking the ball. He does a dunk with socks, no shoes. Like he jumps and dunks. I mean, like socks, not even barefoot where you got grip, like socks, slippery socks. You know what I mean? Like one of the greatest dunkers ever, ever, period. But his role in the NBA became an athletic wing who's long, versatile, can guard multiple positions, and would shoot a lot of threes and score in transition. He never had a major role. Probably some of his most successful years when he was with the Houston Rockets, but he had a solid career. He's even kind of on the fringes today. Who knows? He could be picked up later on. Somebody needs a veteran for like a playoff push because he still has that versatility. Maybe not as springy or as quick as he used to be, but he can still guard versatile positions, almost like Jeff Green does. But he's more of a forward, but a similar role, right? Still has value in the NBA. And so when I'm looking at Cam Reddish, I'm asking myself, like, where does he fall? Like, I don't think he's quite Gerald Green. I feel like he's got way more potential, especially on the defensive end, that he's already showing. and he's only going into his third season, which is really promising. Um, Another thing, he's on a team that's actually committed to the development of their players. Nate McMillan is a great developmental coach, great X's and O's, great system, puts guys in the position to really be successful. Um, Great coach, great system to be involved in. He's got a point guard who's an amazing playmaker and shooter, so he doesn't have a lot of pressure to perform, and he's got a defined role somewhat, though they're still letting him breathe into it. As you saw in the playoffs, he had more of uh, a longer, I guess, leash out there. Unlike those Golden State Warriors, who would be shackling their rookies and their young players. Um, Cam Reddish, he was out there, and Nate McMillan was like, "Yo, play your game. Go out there, be confident. If I'm putting you out there, I'm putting you out there to be all of you." And that's really empowering as a coach, and as a player to hear your coach say, "I believe in your game. Play to your strengths. Go out there and play great. And if you're not playing good, that's okay. We're in the playoffs. You're gonna put in somebody else who we think has an opportunity to." But what we're hoping for is for the best version of you. And he showed his best self. In that game 6 against the Milwaukee Bucks, yo, he was holding the Hawks in that game. Like, I'm a firm believer. I'm gonna be told I'm keeping a buck 100 with you. If Trey Young had stayed healthy, if he didn't sprain his ankle, I don't care if they got Giannis or not. I think Atlanta wins that series. Period. Trey Young was controlling the game, and the influx of having Cam Reddish back, even though DeAndre Hunter got hurt, Cam Reddish became that lockdown wing, along with John Collins holding it down inside and Trey Young running the show, and Kevin Herter, who was going eight, and even, Bogdan Bogdanovich, even though he was a little bit kind of in and out, kind of laboring a little bit with like a little injuries here and there, they were still outplaying the Milwaukee Bucks. Because even though they won a championship, that was not a deep team. That was not a deep team. They were like 4 or 5 players deep. That was it. You had Yeah, Drew Holiday, my man, 100 grand, I love him. You know what I'm saying? You had Chris Middleton, you had Bobby Portis, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and you had Brooke Lopez. And I'll tell you this, Coach Budenholzer he hadn't figured out how to utilize Brooke Lopez yet. He doesn't figure that out until the finals, where he says, "Oh, this guy could get buckets inside too. Let me start posting them up." He hadn't figured that out yet, and it wasn't a good matchup because they had Clint Capella, and they had Onyeka Okongwu, who was having a great series against the Bucks. He was having a great series, and then you throw in Lou Williams off the bench. I mean, Atlanta was deeper, and I'm gonna be honest. Nate McMillan was out coaching Coach Budenholzer. And so when I looked at what was taking place, I was like, yo, this team might really get to the finals. And then, of course, we all know Trey Young sprains his ankle on the ref's foot. Damn it, ref, what are you doing? You gotta back up. You gotta back up. All right. I'm sorry, it's the playoffs. Get the hell out the way. You can't be that close to a player. You scoot, get out the way, scoot back, at least get out of bounds if you can. All right. But it's to say that it's like Trey Young ends up getting hurt, they don't make it to the finals. But Cam Reddish, he showed out. But once again, how did he show out? As a shooter. As a shooter. Great defender, scored in transition, but he was a shooter. And that's where I start looking at. He feels like more of a Gerald Green type player. And so I'm curious, and this is what I'm really curious about. Will Cam Reddish break out this season as more of a Paul George? I can do a little bit of everything. I can use my quickness, athleticism, length, and talent to get to the rim at will, to be able to get buckets, and play great defense. I don't think he's shown the playmaking that Paul George had. He could develop it over time, but I'm curious, is Cam Reddish going to really break out and lean on the Paul George side of things or the Gerald Green side of things? I don't think he's ever going to be just a Gerald Green player. I don't think so at all. But that's kind of his baseline right now. That's his baseline. Solid, versatile defender, 3-point shooter, scoring in transition, maybe some alley oops because he's athletic. Or he could become a Paul George. So I'm excited for this season. Summer League has been dope. Not Summer League. I'm sorry, I keep saying Summer League. Preseason was dope. I'm excited about what he's going to do this season. He does have quite a few players in that depth chart where I'm kind of like, is he going to be able to surpass DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Herter, Bogdan Bogdanovich? I don't think so. Maybe not right now. Like for sure, DeAndre Hunter and Bogdanovich, he's not going to surpass. They are solidified in that starting lineup as long as they're healthy. But Kevin Herter has a little bit more shake and shimmy to his game. But the potential that Cam Reddish has, I think, is higher. But he's got to show it. Why? Because this year, Kevin Herter's up for a contract extension this summer, right? And so if he has a great year, they're gonna have to really think about where they want to invest their money because I guarantee you, if Kevin Herter has a great year, teams are going to be looking at Kevin Herter, 6'8" wing guard, almost like Duncan Robinson, not as accurate, but far more off the dribble and passing ability, right? Playmaking. And I might even do a video about that kind of log jam at that wing position for Atlanta. Let me know if you want me to do a video about the log jam on the wings for the Atlanta Hawks. But with that, I'm done. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please slap the like button, subscribe, and leave comments. Let me know what you think. I always try to respond to the comments. I definitely take tips or hints at what you want to see. A lot of the people who have subscribed and who have wrote down what they want to see, I've done videos for. And so let me know. All right. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'm gonna get at you. Peace.